Most of all, I'd like to thank my mother, Brandy, my friend, the person who has loved me so much and so well that she taught me in inimitable little man Tate fashion to fly away. Thank you.
The Word of God says the sins of the parents are visited upon the children, and my parents were witches, and their parents were witches, and on down the line.
I do tend to make movies about spiritual crisis, people in spiritual crisis, and family, how the family dynamic, the tapestry of the family knits together and affects each other, not just in this generation, but in past generations, and how that all kind of comes to haunt you.
One of the most important symbols in the Druid system was a magic wand. Magic wands were always made out of the wood of a holly tree. It's made out of Hollywood. And Hollywood is a Druidic establishment.
The only life you've ever known, really. I guess it's, what do they say, born in the trunk? Yeah, like that. 3 years old I started.
Mind control sex slaves are created by starting with a child from birth and inducing trauma.
I said, what type of spell is so good that it makes senators and generals do what you want? It's a really good spell. I'd like to learn it. She said, we didn't cast a spell on them. They're with us. I said, oh, far out. Senators that are witches. She says, no, they just belong to us. The stronger the witch, the more demons that they have allowed in. When they take a young person and they train them for witchcraft, they give them what's lovingly, I guess, called homework. They give them assignments that they're to do. And the assignments tear down every moral fiber and training that the person has. And just literally, they become a human chalice. They fill up with demons. As they do these things, they break down all the barriers holding the devil back. And when they're done, they have a very programmed, very brainwashed, and very powerful supernatural witch. Women, except in the higher councils, are the leaders. The high priest is in the coven, but he's only the enforcer. The high priestess is the pastor. My sister, when she was 13, she was the witch queen of the state of Ohio. About 15,000 witches under her direct control, and all of them were almost adults. So age has nothing to do with it. It was how fast they were trained and the family they came from.
Making movies at Disney was not unlike making movies anywhere else. You had a welfare worker, a teacher. I would get lessons and bring them home and then bring them to the class and we would do my lessons. But there's a real loyalty to Disney, a real family feeling to Disney. It isn't made up. It's actually a real family feeling. And life in kind of the Disney house was kind of an interesting place.
Mind control sex slaves are created by starting with a child from birth and inducing trauma, which for me was done in the form of being sexually abused and then being satanically abused. I was put through a trial of satanic rituals, which means there were blood rituals done where I was forced to witness animals and people being sacrificed. We were taken down the basement and it turned into kiddie porn where we were being filmed. Then I was prostituted, or they would make some pornography or something. They filmed us over years with all sorts of animals. They filmed us over years with all sorts of animals.
Well, I was kind of a Disney kid. I'd done a lot of Disney movies at that point with, you know, lots of animals, lions and camels and things like that, pigs. All the movies I did at Disney had lots of animals in them. So the first movie I did at Disney, I remember, was called Menace on the Mountain, and it was with pigs. Let's see, Napoleon and Samantha, the big memory, of course, was that I was bitten by a lion. So I was mauled by a lion, and he picked me up by my hip after shooting, and he turned me around and shook me a whole bunch of times, and I saw the whole world shake a lot in a horizontal position. As I was watching everybody run away from me, one of the trainers said, "Drop it." And the lion just went and just dropped me out of his mouth, and I went rolling down the hill. And the famous story is, of course, that the lion came running after me and gave me a big swat on behind and stopped me from, you know, going over a cliff. So that's my big Napoleon and Samantha story, which is kind of a big story. I still have a few scars to prove it.
It all started in 1976 with great acclaim for her role as a pre-teenage prostitute in Taxi Driver, receiving an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actress.
When most girls her age were still hugging teddy bears, she was hugging Robert De Niro.
My mother always told me that show business was the second oldest profession in the world, and the strangest. Yeah, I found that out when I played the movie Taxi Driver. There I was in the second oldest profession, playing a girl in the first oldest profession, and I was only 12 years old. I think that's strange. At the world premiere, I wasn't allowed to see the picture.
Oh, you know, I'd always watch the Oscars. I, you know, had been in the film business and the television business, and that's what we did. We watched the Oscars, and we bet on them, and we said, well, I thought this one should have won. And to be a part of that, to be a part of the group was just extraordinary to me.
Anybody in the last 2 years that's come on television must be an initiated witch. You're not on television or in the movies because you're good. You're there because you paid a price, whatever the producer wanted from you. Any of the new shows coming on, you can just check them off. Those people belong to a witchcraft or Satanist brotherhood somewhere, or they wouldn't be there. To be a member of their staff, actors and actresses, you must bear the scar of initiation. Now, it's witchcraft. In the early 70s and late 60s, it was homosexuality. And before that, the producer's couch and so on. But now it's witchcraft. Bewitched was put on by the witches. My foster mother was one of the producers. I practically grew up on the sets. Louise Hubner, that's my foster mother.
Probably one of the main reasons that witchcraft grew it in Dark Shadows. Bewitched was written by a witch. The belief of witchcraft is you're born a witch, and that the mortals, or everyday people who don't practice, are dummies.
All initiates of the satanic doctrine do all things backwards.
To be a member of their staff, actors and actresses, you must bear the scar of initiation. Must be an initiated witch.
During those teen years, what school were you attending?
I went to the Le Lycée Français in Los Angeles.
The school was entirely in French? Everything?
Yeah, everything. Math, science, history, everything.
Magic wands were always made out of the wood of a holly tree. It's made out of Hollywood. And Hollywood is a Druidic establishment.
The stronger the witch, the more demons that they have allowed in. When they take a young person and they train them for witchcraft, they give them what's lovingly, I guess, called homework. They give them assignments that they're to do. And the assignments tear down every moral fiber and training that the person has. And just literally, they become a human chalice. They fill up with demons. As they do these things, they break down all the barriers holding the devil back. And when they're done, they have a very programmed, very brainwashed, and very powerful supernatural witch. The 95% of the people who join witchcraft are inducted by their school teachers in junior high and high school.
books were my thing. I love books. That's my great escape. I always had a book in my pocket. Whenever my mom took me out shopping, I always brought a book, so I would sit in a chair and read a book. And so literature is my thing. Philosophy. Oh, yeah.
When you were learning the 23rd Psalm, I was learning the witches' chant. When you were reading about Moses opening the Red Sea, 4 spiritual laws and the 10 Commandments, I was reading J.R.R. Tolkien, C.S. Lewis.
What we call witch language. When you're in the first and second level, you have to learn over 2,000 words that said by anybody else mean something totally different than when you say them. Elton John has said he's never written a song or sung a song that wasn't in witch language.
This is the way I grew up, and this is all I believed in, was just that there were mighty gods and we were spatial people. We were their priests and priestesses. We were smarter than the Christians and other religions because we really knew who the gods were, and we were born with spatial powers because our ancestors had passed them down to us, and all the little stories they like to tell us.
So you would never consider going on Twitter?
No.
No.
You know what would be great? If J.D. Salinger was on Twitter, I would follow him. If there was somebody fascinating to follow on who, you know, if Gandhi was alive, I would definitely follow him on Twitter. You know, Freud, I would want to know what he had to say every day. If there was some incredibly interesting, great writer, somebody witty.
Yeah.
My foster mother, when she wrote a book, she would light candles and demand that spirits from the underworld enter every book that came off the press so that the person reading the book would be addicted to the world of the occult. And all writers on the occult do the same thing.
What do you make of this Twilight phenomenon that keeps going strong? 4 years in, one more to go. It's like nothing else in the movie business, is it?
Well, it's an amazing thing, and there's something behind those books. You know, there's a magic in those books. There's something behind those books. You know, there's a magic in those books.
We also believe in magic, which is the use of this force that we call Satan.
When you were learning the 23rd Psalm, I was learning the witches' chant. When you were reading about Moses opening the Red Sea, 4 spiritual laws and the 10 Commandments, I was reading J.R.R. Tolkien, C.S. Lewis. The assignments tear down every moral fiber and training that the person has. And just literally, they become a human chalice. They fill up with demons. As they do these things, they break down all the barriers holding the devil back. And when they're done, they have a very programmed, very brainwashed, and very powerful supernatural witch.
When witches write a book, they order a demon to go into every copy that comes off the press. So when you own a book on witchcraft, you have a demon residing in your home, free of charge.
The only answer to witchcraft, the only way that anybody's ever succeeded in getting out has been through the blood of Christ. Witchcraft is real and supernatural.
And there's something behind those books. You know, there's a magic in those books that people really related to. Hunger Games as well. And, you know, I know my kids read those and just sort of gobbled them up. And, you know, it started a whole new zeitgeist. It sort of changed the world. People got into vampires from Twilight. And
throughout history, there have always been things like vampires, werewolves, witches. They're people who simply did not conform to whatever the mainstream was. We are what has descended from people who were called werewolves, vampires, witches. And we are Satanists, and we do represent the very things that the average mind would consider dangerous or would consider evil or frightening.
people got into vampires from Twilight. And, you know, I don't think the world will ever be the same.
I don't think so.